Welcome to another episode of The Solution with Yemisi. My name is Yemisi and this is where we discuss various issues and their way forward in Nigeria. And today we're discussing insecurity and a possible way forward. Today with me, we are with the former Director, Army Public Relations, and also the Director Consultant, Corporate Affairs and Information, Nigerian Army Resources, Brigadier General S.K. Usman Rtd. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
It is my pleasure having you. No problem.
Going straight to the question, sir. As a professional in public relations and a retired Brigadier General of the Nigerian Army, how would you describe media as a tool in influencing people's opinions, positively or negatively, concerning insecurity in Nigeria?
Well, there is no doubt of the fact that the media in any given society plays a very critical role, and this is more so in a democratic environment such as yours. And from that role, people tend to understand the environment and even far beyond through the media. Therefore, it plays a very important role, and this is far more important in the sense that during conflict or crisis situation whereby the source of information might not be available except through the media. Therefore, it is very important that the media should be professional, accurate, and objectively reporting conflict situation, because people tend to get information from it, and on the basis of that information, they take decision or take line of actions. Take, for instance, it is very difficult in a crisis situation for people to keep their heads above the water, or at the same time not to be part of the conflicts. So we expect the media to be unbiased in terms of reportage, so that an average person could have a fair idea, what the true picture, and whether you can be able to, mitigate or de-escalate the conflict. But at the same time, again, in the process of framing such reportage or reporting such issues, there are professional expectations and responsibilities that behoves on the media. Otherwise, instead of doing good for the society, it may end up escalating the situation. That is why the choice of words and pictures and what have you are very, very important in framing stories like that. Therefore, take or leave, the media plays a very important role, and that role, people should understand, again, comes with responsibility.
So far, what would you say, or how would you say the media has influenced the role of reporting insecurity issues in Nigeria? Take, for instance, the last NSAS protest. The media reported a story, the people on ground reported a story. How would you say these issues or these scenarios has affected the mindset of Nigerians in general?
Well, you see, the media is supposed to be part of the society, and as the society develops, so the media is supposed to develop. As a matter of fact, the media also help in developing the society, because beyond the issue of information, it entertains and also serve as watchdog, putting eyes particularly on those charged with the responsibility of, governing the society. And that is why rightly is being called fourth estate of the rhyme, after you talk about the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. So it's more or less the hope of the common man. And the media plays a very important role. So when you look at that role, and in contentious situation that the media abdicate some aspect of its neutrality or professionalism, it has the concomitant effect of affecting, the outcome of that. And therefore, media should always be very professional. It doesn't matter who are the contending parties. They are supposed to, report things as they are. But at the same time, just like I earlier mentioned, there is also issue of responsibility, because sometimes you will see or hear things. If you report them the way you see them, there is every likelihood, instead of helping to douse tension, it will even escalate the tension. Take, for instance, using the extraneous variables of either ethnicity or religion and what have you, because knowing that these factors, they are, very, very, sometimes it affects the sensibilities of Nigerians. Therefore, so you have to be very careful, in reporting, so that you stereotype people and make them, victims. So when you talk about what happened in those times, it's so sad and unfortunate that there were observed lapses on the part of the reporting complex. And thankfully, I think people are realizing that, and even the media itself has realized that, hence the concerted effort of, holding training sessions and workshops, so that we will improve on the professionalism and competency of the media in terms of reporting complex, so that taking into cognizance that this is a Nigerian society and there are certain things that are not really applicable in this part of the world as compared to other parts of the world. And we have a democratic government now, and we have to support to ensure its sustenance. And part of doing that, the media has a critical role to play.
Okay, sir. Talking about insecurity in Nigeria, going back a few years ago, it wasn't this dominant, to say. Where do you think we got it wrong, and what do you think is happening presently? Why do you think we're where we are today?
I don't think, maybe a definition of, you have to be specific about the definition of a few years ago. And if you are talking about a few years, what is your definition of few years? Is it 5, 3, 4, 10?
About 10
or 20? But I think if you are even thinking along that way, I think take or leave. If you take into cognizance of the fact that security has always been a problem in this country, for the simple fact that if you compare 10 years ago and now, or even 20 years ago, nobody ever thought that we would be in this kind of quagmire that we are in. Part of the Nigerian societies were attacked, symbol of democracy. United Nations buildings was attacked, police headquarters was attacked, and military barracks was attacked. But thankfully, with the concerted efforts of the government and security forces, the issue of terrorism and insurgency to a large extent has been mitigated. However, there are also new security challenges that manifest in the form of kidnapping, banditry, and so many other things. Possibly that is why you are saying so. But in any given society, security is also something that should be given the necessary attention and priority as it is. And unfortunately, to some extent, I wouldn't say that it has been given that desired attention. Otherwise, some of these problems that are manifesting now, they shouldn't have reached the extent to which they are. And let's even look at it. The security architecture of the country, internal security should be within the purview of the Nigerian police force. To what extent have you invested in the Nigerian police force within the last 10 years, 20 years, or 5 years? In terms of number of human resources, training, equipping, and funding. And it is not just the police, the other security agencies And beyond that, what is the level of security education among the Nigerian society? So you see, these are things that we took for granted, and now virtually almost everybody is paying the price for it. Now, one important aspect is the fact that whether we like it or not, traditional rulers play a very significant role in the Nigerian society. We, over time, jettisoned the roles of the traditional rulers. Now, they don't have any legitimate constitutional role within the society. And we know that they play a very critical role, not even in the sustenance of the general well-being of the society, but in the security situation. So these are some of the issues that brought us. You look at the principles upon which the community policing is predicated. You know, it's intelligence-driven, and of course it's people-driven, and it's enhanced accountability and all the rest. And the whole concept, unfortunately, had it been that when it was introduced about 14, 15 years ago in this country, we continue, by now would have gone far, in the sense that people will take ownership of security within their environment, in the sense that basically it's information sharing and, synergy of efforts among the security agencies. Coincidentally, when I was at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, KURU in Jos, the theme of our course, Sec 40, was, the internal security framework and community policing in Nigeria, policy options and strategy. So, but beyond that, we have gone to various strategic institutions in this country, 12 states of the Federation, and we visited about 6 other countries across the world and 6 other African countries. We studied this concept of community policing, and we made recommendations, part of which there was a renewed effort that need to be sustained, because of that.
Okay,
So the question of community policing is very important, and we really need to visit it and give it more impetus so that people will take active part. The whole essence of it is that you will be able to detect some of the security challenges before they escalate, and you can be able to, provide solutions to them. So a lot of things. So community policing is a good thing that I think there is need for us to imbibe it.
Welcome back to this solution. We've talked about the issues concerning insecurity in Nigeria. So let's go straight to how to overcome these issues, the possible solutions concerning insecurity in Nigeria.
First and foremost, we really have to look at the context under which some of the security challenges come about. We know what brought about terrorism and insurgency, and I think the issues are being addressed. But beyond the kinetic aspect of it, we should also explore options of non-kinetic aspect, in the sense that people do not know. In dealing with issue of insurgency and terrorism, if you are putting it on 100% basis, the military aspect of it is just about 40%. So 60% is supposed to be done by other components of the Nigerian society, which is government-led also. So we have to imbibe that. Then secondly, we have to look at the security architecture. To what extent can we enhance the performance of our security apparatus so that they will be, more responsive? And that calls for number. You look at the ratio of the military, look at that of the police. That means you need to recruit more, and you need to equip them, and you need to train. And beyond that, again, we have to also embark on massive security education and sensitization of an average Nigerian to be more security conscious. Then there are other aspects of that we neglected, the relationship among the components of Nigerian society. Everybody has to be given sense of belonging, and we have to enhance our criminal justice system, and in fact the judicial system, in that some people should have a sense of belonging, so that an average Nigerian will continue to have hope on the authority that if anything or anybody infringe on his right, he can take recourse to the law courts and such will be remedied. And so with that, if he or she sees anything that is going on, he or she will be obligated to report, such things. Unlike a situation whereby people are just living on their own, they kind of lose hope. Then again, we have to look at our educational system. To what extent has it improved on the civic responsibilities or education of an average Nigerian, so that he knows that he, apart from the privileges and rights he enjoys as a citizen, there are also expectations on him by the society, so that we look at the issue of security as a collective responsibility. Then we look at the other factors, because whether we like it or not, the idle mind is the devil's workshop. We have to think of to what extent are we providing employment opportunities so that people will be more meaningfully engaged, so that they can contribute positively, so that those with criminal mind tendencies will not lure idle people. Then most importantly, I think a large percentage of Nigerian society is saturated by the younger one, the youth. To what extent are we involving the youth in not just governance, other aspects of developing this society? Bulk of them, they are talented. To what extent are we channeling their energy? Apart from the other social intervention schemes, the National Youth Service Scheme, to what extent are we involving our youth so that they can positively channel their energy towards the well-being of the Nigerian society? So there are many more, and I had made mention of the fact that traditional rulers play a very important role in the Nigerian society. To what extent are we involving them? And beyond all this, again, what is the level of synergy, cooperation among the components of, the security architecture? We have to improve that on that. Then, most importantly, we have to improve on our monitoring and evaluation. It is not just enough to have people. To what extent are you keeping tab of the resources, that are given? Are they being used for that purpose? And is it enough? If it is not enough, what do you do? So if we imbibe the spirit of effective monitoring and evaluation, I think to a large extent it will enhance our security in the country.
So would you say the government is not putting too much attention on technology as a tool to fight insecurity?
It is one key factor too, that if we want to really improve on the security in the country, we have to look at the STI. What do I mean by STI? Science, technology, and innovation. I have made mention of the fact that we have talented, one of the strengths of the Nigerian society is human resources. Nigerians, they are wonderful people, they are very creative, they are very innovative. Therefore, the issue of technology and science are very, very important in dealing with the security challenges in this country. Take, for instance, the average kidnapper, beyond kidnapping, they negotiate for the payment of ransom using technology, the mobile technology. And beyond that, sometimes I was made to understand that they also use the banking system to collect ransom. To what extent are we using this science and technology to track them, to ensure that we frustrate their effort? Or even before they even go to that extent, to what extent are we using science and technology, the drone, so many things, to be able to, preempt some of these criminal activities before they even happen. So science and technology is very important. Therefore, we have to invest heavily in research and development, so that science and technology will be meaningful in dealing with security challenges in the country. And of course, we have to go into partnership with other international, like-minded, other developed countries, because you see, bulk of the security challenges are transborder. So you have seen the benefits of it when the president embarked on diplomatic shuttle, not just among our neighboring countries, but going to other European countries. So we need the support and cooperation of not just our neighbors, but other countries, in terms of information sharing, technology, and other resources also.
Talking about kidnapping, sir, many Nigerians who have been victims, as we see, resort to paying ransom rather than probably waiting for the security agencies to take action. What would you say to Nigerians if peradventure this happens to someone and the person is stuck between paying ransom and letting the security agencies do their jobs?
It's a very difficult one in the sense that, part of the thing that escalated or makes kidnapping to become more or less a business as it is the payment of ransom. It is a very difficult task not to pay if you are not involved. But non-payment of ransom is, to a large extent, is one of the remedies to kidnapping, because if the kidnapper knows that he's not going to get any ransom, definitely he will not be encouraged to continue with kidnapping business. But honestly, it is very difficult, given the fact that the security situation, if you say you want to rely on the security agencies, you are not too sure when your brother, your sister, your mother, or your daughter, or your son will be rescued. So you are caught in between the two. And given the nature of human beings, naturally you will do everything you think is possible to ensure that your brother or your sister who is a victim of kidnapping is returned back home safely. So payment of ransom could be one of those options, but it is not the best of option. And I believe if we continue to improve on the capacity of the security agencies to rescue victims, I think we can be able to discourage the payment of ransom. So until that is done, I believe, sadly and unfortunately, it will continue to be so. And more so now, the issue of kidnapping has become a business of its own, in the sense that beyond the kidnapper, there are other people that are benefiting from it. And that is why issue of social security should come into play, in the sense that there are people whose businesses require very little amount of money to start up. And unfortunately, if you go to banks, they will charge higher interest. The local governments are not working, which are supposed to be buffer zone that can deal with some of these socio-economic issues at lower levels. So these criminals are now filling in the vacuum, because through the proceeds of the ransom payment, they can empower, informants and other people that will do the legwork for them. An average kidnapper actually gets, let's say if the ransom payment is about 5 million, the average kidnapper hardly gets up to 10 or 20,000. So where is the balance of 4 million, maybe 800,000 goes to? It goes to other people. So unless we deal with those issues, and then one other thing is that apart from improving the relationship among the components of Nigerian society through enlightenment, because people should understand that any security challenge in any part of the country has the capacity to also affect other parts of the country. Therefore, we look at also the proliferations of these small and medium arms, within the society. Thankfully, they have introduced, they have established the center to take care of that. But we need to stop the proliferation, the fabrication of small and medium arms within the Nigerian society, mop it up. But then again, you have to give the people sense of belonging that, look, beyond solving issues violently, there are better ways. So alternative dispute resolutions should also come into play, and so on and so forth.
With the rate at which we're going security-wise, where do you see Nigeria in a few years?
We have the capacity to rise against it, and I'm hopeful, and I believe firmly we will definitely come out of it and more stronger.
Thank you very much, Brigadier General. I remain your host, Yemisi Ajayi. See you next week. Thank you.